Hello and welcome to Healthy Mind, Healthy Life with your host Avik. This podcast is all about exploring the latest research, sharing personal stories, and providing personal tips for improving our mental health and well-being. Each episode will be joined by experts in the field of mental health, as well as individuals who have experienced the transformative power of a healthy mind firsthand. Together, we will dive into a range of topics from managing stress and anxiety to building resilience and cultivating happiness. So, join us on this journey to discover new ways to take care of our minds, bodies, and souls. And let's work together to create a healthier, happier world one episode at a time. So, let's get started. Hello and welcome to another insightful episode of Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. I'm your host Avik, and today we are diving into a conversation that bridges the personal growth, mental health, and leadership. So our guest today is none other than Adam Birnbaum. So welcome to the show, Adam.
Thanks, Avik. Thanks for having me.
Lovely, lovely. So, Adam, before we start our conversation, I'd quickly love to introduce you to all of our listeners. Dear listeners, Adam is an accomplished executive coach with a wealth of experience working alongside the founders, CEOs, and the top level leaders across various industries. So, Adam's journey to the leadership was far from the smooth. So, he's experienced burnout, imposter syndrome, and the struggles of aligning leadership with the personal values. But through the resilience and realignment, he rose up to the top using those hard earned lessons to empower others. So today, Adam will share the insights and the frameworks that helped him not only navigate his own personal and the professional transformation, but guide the countless others to do the same. So, buckle up as we uncover the path to the mastering leadership from within. So, welcome to the show again.
Thank you. Thanks again for having me.
Lovely, lovely. So, Adam, your leadership journey has had its ups and downs. So, if you can share a pivotal moment in your career that truly shaped your approach to the leadership.
Yeah, great question.
Mhm.
So we're going back to 2017, and
Oh.
I'm in my bed and I'm having difficulty waking up again. This
Mhm.
was where I'd ended up in leadership, and I had been striving and working to get into the role that I was in. And I was putting so much pressure on myself that I literally couldn't get myself out of bed in the morning.
Mhm.
And that was a really pivotal moment for me. It was an important moment for me because it helped me realize that putting pressure on yourself, putting pressure on yourself to do better is a
Yeah.
recipe for burnout. And it's a recipe for not being able to show up as yourself. And what I ended up doing
Mhm.
to move myself forward, I remember I was on YouTube and watched a TED Talk by Brene Brown called The Power of Vulnerability.
Mhm.
And up until then, I'd always tried to project myself as confident and I have it all under control and I know the next path. And that wasn't working for me. So when I listened to this podcast, or sorry,
Mhm.
when I listened to this video, watched this video, I really started to think to myself, what does it
Okay.
mean to be vulnerable? And would it help me to be vulnerable? And when I started to lean into vulnerability, that really changed my style of leadership.
Got it. Understood. And also on this, you talk about the value-based leadership. So, how did you clarify your own values and how did you go about aligning them with your management style?
Yeah. So, great question. After I watched that TED Talk, Power of Vulnerability, the first thing that I did, and this is going to connect back to your question about values, is I said, what would it look like if I tried to be vulnerable for 30 days? Every time I feel like I have something to say and I would have held back before, what if I actually go ahead and share that and use it as an opportunity to connect with the people around me? And so
Yeah.
I did that for 30 days, and it was such an impactful experience. I thought to myself, what other values and attributes can I bring into how I show up at work and how I show up as a leader?
Hmm.
I found an exercise at the time of value clarification exercise. And the way that it works is you get a list of values. Usually there's maybe around 100 values on it.
Hmm.
And you circle all of the values that feel close to you or that you resonate with. And then you take the circled values, maybe you circle 50 of the 100, and then you go through those again and you say, of those 50, which are the really important values, and maybe get down to 25. And I kept going through that process of whittling down the values until I had six values. Those six values are integrity, courage, vulnerability, balance, compassion, and learning. And I defined those values in 2017 and I
Hmm.
wrote them down on a piece of paper and put it next to my wall. I made a background for my phone and put it on the background of my phone. And every time I had a difficult decision to make or a difficult situation that I was approaching as a leader, I started to look at those values as a way to guide my actions. And that's really what values driven leadership is at its core. It's defining a set of values that align with how you want to show up in the world, how you want to tap into your own leadership style, and then figuring out how to align your actions with those values.
True. Understood. So, also, like in your early career, you experienced the burnout and the imposter syndrome. So, how did you manage those feelings? And from there, what advice would you give to the leaders who are feeling overwhelmed today?
So, one of the really important things that I learned
Hmm.
related to burnout and feeling overwhelmed is that it takes two people to feel overwhelmed. So,
Hmm.
if you say work is too busy, I have too many things to do, and that's what's burning me out, I would say that's only half of the equation because the other half is the decisions that you make as to how you respond to those inputs. I remember early on in my leadership journey, I was COO of a small bootstrapped entrepreneurial business. And every week I would add to dos to my to do list. And I started to notice that I was
Hmm.
adding to dos faster than I could get them done. So maybe I'd get, five things done in a week, but I'd be adding 10, or I'd get 10 things done in a week, but I'd be adding 20 to the list.
Hmm.
And what I really needed to recognize at that moment was there's no way I'm ever going to get everything done. And so the
True.
goal can't be to get everything done. It has to be to start to think about what do I want to choose to get done and how am I going to choose to spend my time. And at
Hmm.
that point, I'd been working 12 to 14-hour days. And the first decision that I made was that I was going to limit the amount of time that I spent working to 8 to 10 hours a day. And that I was going to find the things that I could do within the time that I was limiting to work. And that really is the first step towards managing burnout and managing overwhelm. It's this making a decision that you're going to prioritize time outside of work to be able to recover, to be able to
Hmm.
get sleep, to be able to get exercise, to be able to connect with people who are meaningful to you as a way to restore that sense of feeling balanced in your life.
Hmm. Understood. So, you have worked with a lot of high level executives. So, what, according to you, are some of the common blind spots you notice in the leaders, and how do you help them overcome those?
I think that the biggest blind spot that people have is under under underweighting the impact of some of their weaknesses. In other words, I might be working with a leader who knows that they get angry sometimes and knows that maybe suspects that their anger might have an impact on their team, but that
Okay.
leader is probably underweighting the impact that that anger has on other people. Or I might have another leader who knows that they're not great at delegating, but doesn't realize how much more effective their team could be and how much more effective they could be as a leader if they delegated better. So the challenge that people have is that they know what the things are that they could do better on. They know the areas that are their blind spots, but they don't appropriately focus on and improve in those areas to be able to really level up their leadership skills.
Got it. And like in the fast-paced world, in today's fast-paced world, how can the leaders better manage the change while maintaining their well-being and the well-being of their teams? What do you think?
Yeah, so the common response when things get busy or things are fast paced is to try to work more quickly and to try to do more. So people ask the question, how can I fit more things into the time that I have so that I can keep up? The problem with that approach is that that focuses on the quantity of things that you're getting done, but it doesn't necessarily focus on the quality of things that go on. And I think that when things are really busy in this fast paced world, when you feel really behind, that's the best time to actually slow down. You need to slow down because if you try to keep up, you're going to be operating from a place of fight or flight, and you will be working on things that may or may not move the needle, that may or may not move you and your team forward. If you take a break and you slow things down, you can actually start to parse through all of the inputs that are coming in, all of the different ways that you could be spending your time, and strategically select the best use of time that's actually going to be able to give you more impact and be able to help you get further into your business success.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. So, I mean, as someone who has overcome the personal health challenges while maintaining a high level of career, how do you integrate the mental health and wellness into the leadership practices?
It gets back to this concept of balance that we've been talking about. There are
Mm,
certain things that I know that I have to do to maintain good mental health. Those things include waking up in the morning and getting outside. It includes spending some time exercising, getting my heart rate up for a
mm,
minimum of 15 to 20 minutes. It includes spending time in the evening journaling to decompress from the day and think about what happened, how I showed up, and how I can show up better tomorrow. So I found that if I have this baseline set of habits in place, that really helps me have the right level of mental health to be able
mm,
to be in the driver's seat during the day and to be
mm.
able to have the biggest impact that I can have.
Okay. Okay. Understood. And also on this, like, what one piece of advice you would give to the aspiring leaders who want to build a fulfilling career without compromising their personal well-being?
Well, that's a big question. And I think it's a really important one because it's so easy to get caught up in your job and in your career and to realize many, many years after you've been working in a job for a long time that you don't feel fulfilled or that you don't feel a sense of meaning.
Mm,
For me, the way that I've addressed this really is by being able to tie back to my values. So I
okay.
start at work, not thinking about the work that needs to be done, but thinking
Mm,
about what is it that's important to me? How do I want to show up in this world? How do I want to live my life? And I find that if I can approach my day and approach the work that I do through that lens of my values, those things that are important to me, that I can have a sense of meaning. For instance, I mentioned one of my values earlier is compassion. And I know that in different situations, I can choose how to respond to things that come up, how to respond to people who bring questions or concerns to me through the lens of compassion, or I can choose to respond in a different way. But I know that if I respond in a compassionate lens, that's automatically going to be tapping into something that's meaningful to me. And so I will
mm.
feel more fulfilled in the things that I do on a day to day basis.
Okay, okay, lovely. Great, great. And that wraps up today's conversation with the incredible Adam, dear listeners. I hope that you found as much value in his leadership journey and the actionable insights as I did. So, Always remember that the leadership isn't just about managing the others, it starts with mastering yourself. Am I correct, Adam?
Yes, I would fully agree with that. Before you can manage a team of dozens or hundreds of people, you need to know how to manage yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So, dear listeners, like if you have enjoyed this episode, do not forget to subscribe to Healthy Mind and Healthy Life and share it with your community, friends, family, anyone who need this. So, Adam, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your wisdom. And to our listeners, uh, keep leading with a purpose. And with this, we'll see you next time on Healthy Man and Healthy Life. Thank you so much.
Thank you.